Oh my god, why were they all there? Ah, this super sucks, bro.
The enemy's almost won. You have my respect, Hunter. Delightful! Yes! 3 down! Fantastic work!
Oh yeah, that clip's making the video. Like and subscribe, Shadowbeats approved. And I end the clip by killing Shadowbeats. Oh man. And he says like and subscribe. Hello everybody, now that that intro clip is out of the way, today I'm going to be talking about Prosecutor, and I feel really bad for you who didn't get this last week when Prophecy's farmable, because this thing is currently, and I feel is going to be the best auto rifle in the game for the foreseeable future for a couple reasons. So here we go. All of this comes down to the fact that post March 5th balance patch, we're seeing Guardians with more health, less ability recovery time, and SMGs with target lock received a massive nerf, meaning that target lock and SMGs really isn't a viable option anymore as the #1 main damage option in Crucible, which means it leaves room for other weapons to compete, most notably pulses and auto rifles. What we're seeing is the resurgence of the year 1 meta that was originally the Prosecutor and the AMA AA4, but we're now seeing it in the year 2024. The Prosecutor and the AMA AA4 are just phenomenal guns all around, and we're seeing that these things have phenomenal perk pools to make use of. So just to take a brief look at the Prosecutor's new loot pool, when Prophecy got the loot refresh, we're seeing it has a couple of things in column 2. It has Keep Away and it has Zen Moment. Those are the two best perks, in my opinion, that you're going to be using on a gun of this type, a tremendously stable auto rifle with okay, acceptable ranges. The real kicker in column 4 is the fact that this thing rolls with target lock. Now, there are arguments to say that Frenzy or even Volt Shot are going to be good perks on this thing. I do agree with that. However, target lock currently is not nerfed on auto rifles. It is still working the same pre-patch on auto rifles as it worked on SMGs, meaning it takes less effort to get target lock to proc and to get that extra damage. Including the damage from target lock, what we're looking at is the extra damage from the bottom half of the new Prophecy weapons origin trait, which means the bottom half of the magazine, you're going to be getting approximately 10% extra damage per shot, similar to high impact reserves, without having to have high impact reserves on your gun. So target lock is going to be kicking in at approximately the same time as your high impact reserves from the origin trait are going to be kicking in. So it combos together really nice. I got lucky when farming Prophecy. I ended up getting a Prosecutor with target lock and Keep Away fairly soon. The only thing is I didn't get ricochet rounds in column 2, and I didn't get the Master Rick that I wanted. So I'm dealing with a 3 out of 5 roll, in my opinion, on the Prosecutor. But even at then, just having Keep Away and target lock on this thing is going to make it infinitely more usable than most other auto rifles in the game currently. This thing nearly has zero competition, especially since 450s are really good, and of the 450s, this is by and far the best one in the game. Basically, if you're using this thing between 10 and 35 meters, it is going to be hard to find a gun that's going to contest it. In the auto rifle category, I think only the Summoner is able to challenge the Prosecutor between that 10 and 20 meter range mark. However, the Summoner, it does have a much lower base range than the Prosecutor does. Not only that, its rate of fire is a little bit higher, so that's the only auto rifle in my experience, my week of playing with this thing, that I saw being able to challenge the Prosecutor effectively. But this thing isn't a Summoner video, this is a Prosecutor video. So what was I pairing with the Prosecutor? I was using either a shotgun or a fusion rifle in the primary slot to pair with this thing. Prosecutor does suffer in the sense that it loses that snappiness, it loses that little bit of extra aim assist whenever anybody is within 10 meters, that Keep Away range that ideally you want people to keep out of. So it is a little bit clunky dealing with close range opponents. You see that in my gameplay. If they're not within that 15 to 35 meter range, I start to have a little bit of trouble tracking them because it does lose a little bit of its snappiness. Maybe the problem is a little bit less severe on controller, but on mouse and keyboard you do start to notice that it isn't as snappy as it could be if you're not playing outside of its effective range. Apart from the standard keep away / target lock rolls that I would recommend for pretty much everyone using this weapon, I do see an argument as to why Frenzy is going to be good in 6s. It basically doubles the effectiveness of keep away in the sense that it gives you the same stats but just a little bit more and a little bit more damage than target lock. Target lock is only good if you're hitting your shots. That is the point of the perk, and Frenzy kind of alleviates that as long as you're staying in combat. Much better as in 6s than it is in 3s, but playing Trials of Osiris over the weekend with a Prosecutor that did have Frenzy was very, very successful. However, just a little bit less so. I felt that the target lock roll worked much, much better for me, considering that most of my gunfights ended with either me dying or the enemy dying, so having Frenzy was almost never the difference maker, but it was extraordinarily helpful whenever it did kick in. Besides Frenzy and Target Lock in Column 4, I would say Jolt Shot. It's just a slightly worse version of Kill Clip, meaning that you can get away with using 1 or 2 less bullets when you're killing someone. However, the big problem with this is that it only works on one person, and if you can't proc the Jolt, then you're kinda SOL, but this gun procs Jolt by itself, so a little bit tricky. I personally am not using Golden Tricorn. I see the merit of Golden Tricorn on other subclasses if it was either Solar or Void, but Arc on Hunter especially, because I pretty much only play Hunter, it's not the best. It's a little bit better on Warlock and Titan because it's easier to get Arc ability kills on the subclasses than it is on Warlock, but even at then, it's a non-refreshable damage buff, and we're just looking exclusively at Crucible here. I'm not talking about any other game mode, really. Use what you want at a certain point, certain skill levels. You can just use whatever you want for PvE or Gambit or whatever you want to do. All in all, currently, Prosecutor, in my opinion, is best in slot auto rifle. There is nothing that I think is better than it. There are adjacent options that are, kinda okay, but this is one of those guns similar to the Immortal circa whenever that was added during Season of the Defiance. It is so good currently, it's almost impossible to justify using it when Prosecutor exists in its current state. I foresee that they're going to nerf target lock on auto rifles in the same way that target lock on SMGs was nerfed, just to kind of balance the playing field. I think Prosecutor will still be good in the same way that most SMGs are still good, just a little less brain dead whenever target lock is brought into a more fair balancing act throughout all of the different gun types that can run it. Now I can hear everybody saying, by everybody I mean one of you, but Prophecy isn't farmable. Prosecutor is hard to get right now. For starters, sorry, can't turn back the time. You should have got this done last week. But if you are indeed looking for replacement guns that can kind of fill the void that Prosecutor fills, I would suggest using Amit AR2. This is almost like Prosecutor in the sense that it is a 450. It feels incredibly smooth. Everybody knows Amit. Everybody loves Amit. It was broken during the crafting. Use Amit if you can't use a good Prosecutor. However, if you want a good world drop weapon that you can farm that's not Prosecutor, considering that Amit is craftable, may I suggest Positive Outlook. This is the same archetype of auto rifle that Prosecutor and Amma are. It is a 450 auto rifle, and this one, which is really good, can be farmed from Commander Zavala by doing Vanguard ranked packages. Yes, I know this means you have to play Vanguard operations or you have to do Grandmaster Nightfalls to get reputation to get those engrams, but trust me, I used this thing, Positive Outlook, for a little bit just to do some preliminary damage testings and just feel testings compared to the Prosecutor, and it feels about the same. The only difference is it is Void, where the Prosecutor is Arc, and Prosecutor's new, has better origin trait, and it just looks better in my opinion, but the Positive Outlook is much easier to farm. It has a wide variety of perks you can get, so it's a little bit more difficult to get the precise roll that you want, but no matter what, if you're looking in Column 3 and Column 4, it's pretty good. You have things in Column 3 like Dynamic Sway Reduction, Stats for All, Tap the Triggers, Steady Hand, Perpetual Motion, Zen Moment if you're into that, all good perks. And in Column 4, good damage perk. You have Kill Clip, Eye of the Storm, you can get Dragonfly if that suits your playstyle, Golden Tricorn for those Void builds. It also comes with Destabilizing Rounds and Elemental Capacitor, I guess. What I'm trying to say is that there are other options besides Prosecutor, despite me thinking that Prosecutor is currently the best in slot, best in the game for 450s and auto rifles writ large. It doesn't mean that there aren't other things you can use. Besides everything, in the end, the meta is still developing. Use what you want. If you think it's good, use it. If you're having fun with it, especially use it. I'm having a lot of fun with guns that I haven't even given a second thought in a very long time. Besides that, everyone, I hope you have a great day, and see you next time.